We're back, and our guest on this segment is Dan Billingsley for the Oklahoma Center for Nonprofits. Dan, good to have you, bud.
Thank you very much.
I did not know we had a Center for Nonprofits.
We have had a Center for Nonprofits for 38 years now.
See, I don't get around.
It's perfectly fine. I will tell you that we have about 19,800 nonprofits in the state of Oklahoma. Now, those are tax-exempt organizations, so those can include everything from your traditional charitable nonprofits to churches and congregations to homeowners associations, C4s, which are political groups, C6s, associations. So it really does run the gamut. But at the end of the day, for charitable nonprofits, and that's really who we mainly work with, the charities in the state, we've got about 5,000 that actually have a real budget. And truly, only about 3,000 of those have a budget of $100,000 or more. So, you know, our charitable sector is fantastic. We represent public charities and philanthropy in the state. We have about 1,100 member organizations. We are one of 37 or 38 state associations nationwide. And probably the most interesting thing, there is no state association in Kansas, in Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, or New Mexico. So we are
we're just a little beacon of light.
We are an island here, and we're actually one of the largest state associations by budget and staff size in the United States.
Holy Toledo, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, tell me something. How did the nonprofits fare when all the folks in the legislature that I refer to as the playpen were talking about shortages and budget shortfalls and a hole in the budget and so on and so forth? How'd they make it through that?
I think through tenacity and being strategic. I think being innovative. It's been a rough several years. This year is a lot different. We have a lot of young legislators there, 74 with 2 years or fewer experience in the House, and I think 24 or 25 in the Senate with 2 or fewer years. There's a new energy. There's also money right now. We're not facing a $1.4 billion shortfall. And so, honestly, the last 6 years have been really tough for the charitable sector, whether they get state funding or not. Because at the end of the day, what has happened is that philanthropy, private philanthropy, and 80% of philanthropy in the United States, 8 out of $10 comes from individuals, not from corporations or foundations, individuals. Philanthropy was keeping this sector alive. So it's people like you or me or your viewers that are donating to charities, supporting them. And I think that I want to see that continue. But we also know that philanthropy can't always stand in the way of a good state budget that's going to fund our core services.
When people knock on your door and say, hey, listen, I'm a brand new nonprofit, help me. What are you prepared to do?
9 times out of 10, we're going to ask them some really hard questions. And sometimes we say, don't do it. It is not easy to start a nonprofit. If you want to start a small business, it's not easy. If you want to start a large business, it's not easy. It's the same for a nonprofit. Nonprofits are businesses. And what we tell people is, not only do you have to have a business plan, you've got to have a strong board of directors, you've got to have a strong core of volunteers, a strong core of donors. And a lot of people don't realize how much work it takes to organize and run a nonprofit. But when the passion's there, the mission's there, the programs are there, we are there to make sure that not only do they have good governance and good policies in place and a strong business and strategic plan, but we're also going to be there to hold hands. Get them networked in with other nonprofits that have done it well. Huge. Yeah, it's very important that nonprofits are networking with one another. So we're there, and we're going to hold their hand along the way. But I will say that just like small businesses, a lot of nonprofits fail within the first few years simply because they don't have the supports necessary. And that's what we're here to do.
Is provide that support.
Absolutely.
You know, you said something before we started taping today, because there were some students here.
Yes, sir.
With an interest toward marketing, toward a career in communications, toward a career in fundraising, that there are positions available, some of them not paying, but good for entry level, within the confines of nonprofits.
Absolutely. Nonprofits are employers, and we're a huge employment sector in the United States, huge employment sector, and a big one here in Oklahoma. There are definitely opportunities for students who are wanting to use their skill sets that they're learning in school in a way that may have a bit more social benefit. And maybe there's a little bit that speaks to their own heart and their own minds about maybe giving back a bit. So yeah, I think that the most important thing though that we need in the nonprofit sector, we need strong business skills, we need strong communication skills, great writing skills, and most importantly, people who are strategic and tenacious.
So an internship would be beneficial for both.
Absolutely, and not only does the Center for Nonprofits, we have internships, but you know, the many nonprofits that we work with also have internships, both unpaid and paid, whether you're getting credit for school, and it is a really phenomenal way to get a look at not only what you're studying and putting that into practice, but I would say it gives you an idea of how important the charitable sector is, not only to help the community, but as an economic driver in the state.
So to move from the classroom into a hands-on, even if it's an internship, and I don't want to diminish that in any way, but if it's a non-paid internship, you at least are getting your hands dirty. You're finding out how everything works.
Absolutely. And most importantly, you're kind of getting an idea of what the entire sector looks like.
Sure.
You know, with the Center for Nonprofits, I always tell people we don't have babies, we don't have puppies, but we know the organizations that do. What you get with us is really strong professional development that when you walk, if you were to walk in day one as a marketing coordinator or a fundraising coordinator or working in HR or some type of job in a nonprofit, you're going to know what you're doing, and you're going to have a good perspective of what needs to happen in that nonprofit.
Only got a couple of minutes. I would be remiss if I did not ask you, how important is social media to nonprofits?
I'd say it's hugely important, just like it is to any business or anyone trying to start a business. What I will say is that social media without strategy is not going to be very social. And I teach a lot of marketing to nonprofits, and I let people know that the thing that they're missing is the social part. It is really about connecting your mission with not only the people who follow you, but the people who are following your followers. And the best nonprofits out there that are raising money, especially through social media, are doing it because their followers are really evangelizing about those nonprofit missions. It's not the nonprofit itself.
That's sweet, man. I love this. I had no idea that you existed, and we want to do this again. Are you interested?
Absolutely. We would love to. And again, I have to say that our charitable sector is one of the best in the country, and we have the best philanthropists around. We've got the best people around. I mean, Oklahoma is a special place when it comes to the charitable sector.
Boy, tell me, and so many other
Absolutely.
areas too. Hey, Dan, thanks.
You bet.
Appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you.
All right, coming up, writer, entertainer, charming wit, and birthday boy, John Woolley is all this and more, and he's here with a new book when we come back.